Welcome back to the podcast. We have another special episode for you today with special guest Shaun Gold. How are you doing today, Shaun?
Is there theme music? I feel like we should have had theme music with this introduction.
Yeah, we have the little Wolftelligence thing if you've ever seen it before with the wolf noises and the howls, of course. But
Okay, well,
yeah,
if I listen to this and there's theme music, I'm happy. So I'm doing good, especially now that I know that we're going to have some awesome wolf theme music.
yeah. So I just want to get a little bit into your background. So being a very successful entrepreneur, best-selling author, you have a lot of things going on. How do you manage to find the time to work on your mental health and to maintain just good mental health?
I mean, time is relative. There's the old Einstein saying that, putting your hand on a hot stove for a minute feels like an hour, but dinner with a pretty girl for an hour feels like a minute. That's relativity. So time is relative. So for me, I don't get trapped into the busyness. There's always this barren abyss of busyness. So everyone's so busy doing this and so busy doing that. Really, it's like I do what I have to do, and that's it. I mean, it's not like I'm rushing from thing to thing. I'm doing what needs to be done, and then I'm using the time wisely, and I'm just focusing on what's important. It's not that we're limited with time. It's that most people waste a lot of it. I mean, they just, it's easy to say you're busy when you have all these things going on, but I mean, ants are busy. What are you busy doing? Like what are you so busy running about and complaining about it? I feel it's like a mark of privilege to be like, I'm so busy because I have to go to the gym, and then I have a meeting uptown, then I have a meeting downtown, then I have a happy hour this, and it's like, listen, just get your stuff done. It's fine. So me, I mean, it just I'm time is something we're all lacking, but it's something that we can use if we know how to use it. And I know how to use the time wisely.
Yeah, I love that. I love how you say that. A lot of people are really fake busy. I get a lot of people that say that, oh, I'd like to meditate to help my mental health, but I just can't find the time. To which I respond, well, you can't find 5 minutes in the morning to just sit and breathe. What are you doing? Are you scrolling on your phone? Are you watching TV? Do you do you watch a lot of TV or scroll a lot on social media, or do you kind of get rid of those distractions?
Get rid of the distractions. I mean, here's the thing: social media is like a barren wasteland, and people like they accept that wasteland. They accept it. It's like I found the desert. Let's go. And TV is like the same thing. I mean, we need time to chill out. Like it's not like there's people that are just like I don't own a TV or anything like that. You need time to chill out and be entertained. And I feel like with TV, I don't binge my mind away. I'm not like, oh, does anyone know a good show to watch? Game of Thrones. That's 10 seasons. I guess I'll just watch every episode in the weekend. That's just pointless. But you need stuff to at the end of a day for an hour here, an hour here, just to mindlessly turn your brain off and watch something. So I don't binge if there's a show I really like. I mean, it's just this concept of, oh, I have to watch all 8 episodes in one sitting kind of escapes me. I mean, it's convenient that you could watch it maybe in 5 sittings. You don't have to wait 8 weeks. Um, but yeah, and social media again, like 10 minutes a day, maybe 15, and it's there's nothing that you're going to find in television or in social media that is going to really change your life for the better, unless you have some epiphany that's like, I want to work in TV, or I want to do something and share it on social media because it's unique and it's awesome and I can change people's lives and I can help people or I can launch a business. But sitting there doing the same thing over and over again, I mean, it's just like people don't even realize they're doing it. I mean, but before the pandemic, when I used to go out, I just do an experiment where I'd walk around and see how many people were looking at a cell phone, and everybody was looking at a cell phone. And I've never found anything that interesting to just look at a cell phone. Like when I'm outside, there's really nothing that has been like, oh, I have to see this because if I don't see it, it's going to go away. And this is coming from a guy who's past life was in nightlife, who I was attached to a cell phone, and I was doing 40,000 text messages a month, and I always had to be on point. But the cell phone I was attached to didn't have Instagram, and it didn't have any of these apps to really steal my attention. Now it was all business. It was all, okay, I have 150 text messages. I better answer them. Not let's watch this video of this drama. Look at this. There's a fight at Sparrows at the mall, and oh, no one's wearing masks. And oh, look at the comments. Like it's a time sucker. It's a time waster. There's so much more constructive things you can be doing with your time to better yourself and to really move forward in life than just wasting it away on a device.
Yeah, I love that. And I know that for my journey, when I was going through mental health issues, one of my big time sucks was just scrolling mindlessly on social media. And I noticed that one of the things was because I literally had nothing better to do. And now, when I'm pursuing my business now and posting a ton of content, I'm still on social media, but I'm not scrolling anymore. I'm not on it to consume anybody else's content. I'm in it to be a provider, I'm in it to be my own channel. And that's what I try to encourage people, that if you find yourself on social media, first ask yourself why. Is it because you're truly interested in the people that you're following, or is it literally because you have nothing better to do? And it might hurt. It might hurt to take stock and to take inventory, but being self aware and being accountable for what you're doing with your time can really help you to show how you're wasting it. And I want to get into, so I just started reading your book, Better Be You, on Kindle. Actually, the first book that I've read on Kindle. I
Oh,
just got Kindle.
wow.
I just got
Wow.
Kindle Unlimited. So a lot of pressure, but I really like at the beginning how you talk about how it's either you're an entrepreneur or you're not. And when did you really figure out or find out that you were an entrepreneur? How early on?
6, 7. I mean, it really became something where it's like, hey, I need money. My parents won't give me money. I can do something to make money. It was kind of like that. It was just like, I want stuff. And at that age, it was like comic books and video games and candy and, like stupid stuff. And now that I'm adult, it's kind of like comic books and video games and stupid stuff. It's not, nothing's changed, but it's the fact that, yeah, I wanted money, and like you had to get money, and like how do you get money? You got to hustle, and that's when I learned it. And just I've always had a need to do something, and entrepreneurship just made the most sense. I mean, if I go real back, way back, because I don't really even like post on my LinkedIn or anything, but listen, like I was already like hustling when I was like 8 years old. I had my first e-commerce business when I was 12. Okay, when PayPal came out, and I'm dating myself, when PayPal came out, I was on it. I remember I signed up for it. My dad was very concerned. He's like, "You don't know about this. They have money, but they could go away overnight, and you're giving them your bank account number and all this. And what is this digital transfer of money?" And so, that was like the gig. I mean, people would go home, and if they had a job, they'd go work at the mall or the clothing store or something. And I was like 13, 14, having pretty much a global e-commerce business with an AOL homepage, or GeoCities or Angel Fire, old school before your time, with the really early, like the first internet, where it was just like there's a counter at the bottom, and there's like contact me, and there's like a waving hand, like really stupid stuff, but that's what made money. I mean, that was the whole business. And then after that, as the e-commerce started to die down, I went into educational assistance. So I had a tutoring company, and I was doing, all these different customers in colleges when I was still in high school and stuff. So it was always, moving in a direction where I could kind of do what I wanted to do and kind of just be free. Because I feel like now entrepreneurship has been corrupted. I mean, it's been corrupted by social media. It's been hijacked by gurus. It's been hijacked by influencers. And what they're proposing isn't real. Everybody's like, listen, for this $3,000 course, which is not really a $3,000 course, it's a $3,000 investment into yourself, where I'll teach you the secrets of wealth and luxury and power and being your own boss and working from your laptop and living on the beach. It's all this stuff, and it's really like that's what it's become. And people have forgotten that like entrepreneurship is essentially, you have an idea and you want to take that idea from your mind to reality. You want to really transform it. You want to see it become something that helps people, helps the world, and helps yourself. I mean, it's so you don't have to really deal with anything else. And it's become something where, yeah, it was always about money, but now, social media, it's no longer about wealth, it's about luxury. Before it was like, okay, if I can have a business that pays my bills and I can save money and I enjoy doing it, I mean, that's all you needed. Now you have to have a business that has, a mansion with a 10-car garage and a yacht with a helipad and a sailboat and a lunar excursion module and your own personal Mars rover. Like, you got to have all that stuff. And, most people won't even get to that. You will never get to that level, not because it's not reachable, but because it's just unrealistic. Like, the pictures and the lifestyle they promote is just unrealistic. And, people are forgetting the basics. The basics are, do something that you want to do that you could actually monetize, and that you could avoid having to go work for someone that you hate, or avoid having to do a job that you don't want to do, or avoid having just to deal with stuff that you don't want to deal with. That's what it's about. And I feel like people get lost. They get lost between the social media effect of it, and they get lost between the Silicon Valley effect of it, where everyone, what's the minimum viable product? What's your burn rate? What's your churn rate? What are you pivoting? Blah, it's all this. And there's people in the middle that are just like, dude, I just want to have a business doing this. That's fine. I just want to do something on my own and focus on what I have to do and make money and see where it leads. And a lot of people, they don't want that because they want to have either the Silicon Valley way or they want to have the Instagram way. And, it's two extremes, and for every company that announces that they have a round A of funding or a Series B or, that are unicorn status or that have a liquidity event, any of that, there's countless others that can't get a phone call. They can't get a meeting. They don't get any funding. They fail. I mean, 98% of businesses fail. That's just what it is, especially startups. And there's, last I checked, close to 600 million entrepreneurs worldwide. So, if it was easy and everybody was, a millionaire and selling it out and awesome, you'd have 600 million, millionaires, and you don't, so it's something that a lot of people just, they don't realize. So if you really are on the path, all that other stuff is ancillary. You really want to have, your main focus. And again, for the main focus was me, depending on the business is, oh, hey, I don't have to drive anywhere. Oh, hey, I don't have to deal with anything. Oh, hey, this is cool. Oh, hey, I can make money doing this. And that's kind of how I always operated. I mean, it just, the thought to me of going to a job to do something that I have no interest in for 10 hours a day, probably 6 days a week, that's like torture to me. That's like, and people thirst for that. They thirst for that. I want to do it. And they will kill themselves just to, have a title or just to have something on LinkedIn and to say, I'm the whatever stupid title that the company makes up, the chief heart officer or the junior vice president or the senior vice president or the chief happiness officer, or like just something to give them some sort of meaning to be like, look what I'm doing. When in the actuality, it's like you're killing yourself and wasting your time when you should be focusing on, something that's meaningful to you and that you could actually launch something from and keep crafting over the years. And that's something that's truly yours.
Yeah, I love pretty much everything you just said there. And it's very loaded, especially when you talk about these Instagram gurus and these people with the mansions and the yachts, and they're selling you their idea of success. We don't realize that in society, we're kind of being forced an idea of success that other people tell us that this is what we want. And now that I kind of see through the game, I know that I don't want any of that stuff. But then again, I know that a lot of these people aren't even happy. They're miserable because all they want is the next toy. All they want is to be better than somebody else. And one of the big things on your journey is that if you're going to be comparing yourself to somebody else, somebody in a different situation, you're always going to be miserable. So at least for me and my journey, I know that I'm not comparing my, say, views to what anybody else is doing because I'm in my own market, in my own niche of talking about mental health and self-love and emotional intelligence because I see that there's a problem. I see that there's a need, that these things aren't being taught in school. They should be, but maybe the school system's too stubborn. But this is a real issue. So when you were starting your businesses, were they things that you were passionate about, or did you see a problem and need and then like you instantly knew how to attack it?
Both. I mean, the first, again, I was a kid, so it was more like the need was, I need money. And then, again, it was just like, oh, I could do this. I could start this e-commerce business because no one else was really doing it, and I could do it. This is going to be cool. And then with the educational assistance thing was just like, yeah, this is a need, and I could do it. And then when I got into nightlife, the nightlife was more like, this is what I have to do. It was what psychologist Abraham Maslow calls a peak experience, and I had a peak experience. It's like, this is what I have to do, and that peak experience drove me for 15 plus years on a path. So it really varies. It depends. But at the end of the day, you have to have something that you enjoy doing. You have to really, you're going to spend a lot of time doing it, and you don't want to look back and say I wasted all my time. I mean, that's what it comes down to. I think the regret is people think that their time is unlimited, and it's not. It's just, I spoke to someone last year during the height of the pandemic, and they said, I'm just treating this year as a sabbatical. I said, the whole year? I said, yeah, the whole year. And I said, there's going to be a time in your life. He's an older gentleman. But there's going to be a time in your life when like something's going to happen. You're going to cry out that I wish I had more time, and you just wasted an entire year. You wasted an entire year because things were the world was in a flux. But other people didn't waste that year. People literally went out and it's like, okay, if I'm stuck here, I'm going to make the best of it. I'm going to learn a new skill. I'm going to network with people. I'm going to hustle. I'm going to see what I could start. I'm going to make, make time serve me, as they say in the prison. Make time serve you, because that's essentially what it was. And people didn't want that. I mean, I think the majority now that, we're not coming out of it. We're still in a pandemic, but now that people can come out and congregate and whatnot, I think the majority aren't going to have anything to show for the past year, the 2020 year, except the Netflix watch list, and not a good watch list. I'm talking like, I watched Umbrella Academy season 2 for the 5th time, like just random BS stuff. And, and just complaints, just not much else. And you have a society of people that, I don't want to insult anybody, but I saw it the other day on the 10 minutes I spend on social media. It was just like somebody's Twitter that was basically like, oh, if you didn't accomplish anything this year, you lack discipline. And then they went on a rant being like, it's not true because this year was so hard and just being alive and staying afloat. And it's like, what's going to be next? What's going to be the next excuse for the feebleness? What other pandemic is it going to be? What's going to be when there's a war, a pandemic? I don't know, a zombie apocalypse. There's going to be something that it's like, oh, just being, just existing. And it's like, it's just excuses because you have to use your time wisely. No one is going to, let you cross the river of life for you. You have to do it yourself. And sitting there waiting isn't going to do anything. I mean, there's a quote by George Bernard Shaw that says, the people that get on in this world are the people that look for opportunities. And if they can't find them, make them. So most people, they just wait. They're just waiting and hoping and praying that the opportunity is going to come a knocking. And then there's people that are actively looking. And then there's people that once they can't find them, they are making that opportunity. And those are the 3 types of people. Some watch it happen, some make it happen, and some wonder what happened.
I love that. I actually remember that was at the beginning of the book, which was great. And I understand a huge thing about it are these excuses. And I like to call them loose excuses because no matter what they are, you're always going to be able to fit yourself through that excuse because you're the one making it up. You can say, oh, well, I couldn't. So for my example, personally, running a publishing business, needing to sell books to other people, I couldn't go give out books in person over 2020. What did I do? I went onto social media and started marketing because if I can't go out to the people need to come to me and see the value that I'm providing. And things like that, where if I was just sitting and complaining about how everything was happening to me, having this victim mindset, and that's a very popular mindset in our society, which is very sad that people feel like they need to be victims to the world around them, that people don't get their self-esteem because other people aren't giving it to them. Well, what you're doing is you're giving your power away to other people. You're saying, well, if they tell me that I can be confident in myself, only then can I be confident in myself. And that's looking at the world completely backwards. Have you always had a sense of kind of inner confidence and inner assurance, or is that something that you built up over time?
I mean, part of the road to mastery is this period where you're wondering, what are you doing with yourself? You have to have this period where you question if you're on the right path, if you're actually doing something constructive. And everybody faces that. I mean, but at the end of the day, it's like, you have to put that aside and go out there and do it. Everyone has doubts. There's if you look at anyone in history, anyone that achieved any form of success, regardless of the industry, regardless of if it was a business, regardless if it was art, anything, they all had doubts. Doubts are just part of the human experience, but they push past the doubts. They don't look at someone else and say, okay, well, Bill Gates already did it, so I can't do it. They say, I'm going to push past that. I'm going to become the next me, and they just do it. But a lot of people are struck down. It's just there's a feebleness in face of a world, and it's just kind of like, okay, it's kind of like I can't do this because of this person or this circumstance or anything. And again, you're just hamstringing yourself. You're cutting off your left hand with your right. I mean, the circumstances are never going to be correct. They're never going to be correct. The stars are never going to align. And if you spend all your time hoping and praying for something, you're never going to actually do it. You have to just do it, and you have to go out there. And it's difficult because social media convinces us that what we're doing is either absolutely amazing or absolutely terrible. And you could have like the cure for COVID, but because you don't have the right hashtag, or you're not in the bikini, you're not in the Ferrari, you're not on the boat, people can be like, whatever, doesn't matter. So you're going to give up on the cure for COVID. And a lot of in the pre-social media days, going back through history, it's like, listen, people just did what they had to do. they didn't care. It's like if you had one of the examples I use is the Renaissance. We have like a Leonardo da Vinci and a Michelangelo, right? So they both were kind of rivals. They didn't like each other. So imagine if they had cell phones, it'd be like, we wouldn't have a Mona Lisa because Da Vinci would look at Michelangelo's live stream of the Sistine Chapel and be like, why am I paying this stupid girl in a portrait when he's got a whole ceiling of a chapel? And look at all the comments, and all the comments will be, have all the emojis and everything. Like, Da Vinci's a loser, like people would just see that, and we give our freedom up to anonymous authorities. That's the problem. Henry Ford had a saying where he said, if I had listened to what my customers wanted, I would have built a faster horse, But now in this day and age, you listen to what the customer wants. They want faster horses. Great. I'm going to make a new horse. It's going to be the fastest thing ever. You want to have a car. You have to go after what you think the market needs, and you have to go for it all in. And I mean, it's kind of the same thing with anything, With Steve Jobs, it's like, who needs a computer? That's a magical box you have at work. I don't know how to use it. Who wants one of those at my house? And that's kind of what the mentality was, and that's with anything. That's with even with the internet. I mentioned earlier, like Angel Fire and Tripod and all that. Like there's a book called Lucky or Smart, very very thin book. You can read it in like one little sitting. It's like 90 pages. Nobody ever read it except me. I always recommend it, and people are like, "What's this book?" I'm like, "It's the best book on entrepreneurship ever, or at least one of them." And essentially, it was about Bo Peabody when he started Tripod, which was a web builder in the mid 90s, which was like early to mid 90s. And this is the time when people were like, "Why do I need the internet? I have a phone book. They could just call my office. Why do I need a web page?" And his whole thing was like, "Listen, this is going to be the future," and nobody cared. So it's like if he had listened to everyone, we wouldn't have had a web page builder, and nobody would have a website, and the internet would look different. But instead, he was just like, "Okay, I'm just going to go do it anyway." And it's Einstein said that great minds always face mediocre opposition, and people, they give into this mediocre opposition because it's safer, so people can have the self-appointed experts of everyone's peers can be like, good thing you didn't do that business. Look, who knew what could have happened? You probably would have lost your life savings. You would have wasted so much time. And because they listen to these people that have to be right, that have to have a position of authority, even though they have no position. It's not like they're hanging out with Mark Cuban. It's usually someone that has no idea about anything they're doing of entrepreneurship or at the industry or anything. And they're always like, nope, shouldn't do it. And you got to kind of stay away from those people. You got it's really, you have to cut off your relationships with a lot of people, because a lot of people, one, they suffer from envy, and envy is like, it's like rust eats metal, envy eats people, and they don't want to see you succeed. They're, especially if you're a friend, they don't want to see you succeed. They become envious, they become jealous, and it makes you a target. And people don't want to be a target a lot of times. There's an old Japanese saying that the tallest tree in the forest is the first to be chopped down, and people don't want to be like, I don't want to be like that. There's they just want to be safe. They just want to go about their lives and be safe, and it's a wasted existence. I mean, it's just something where you have a talent. You have a uniqueness, you have potentialities within you to go do whatever you want. And instead you just, no one's going to like this. Don't do it for them. Do it for you. If you do it for you, you'll attract something. You'll attract something that could matter, and you can create something. And, it's part of the climb. That's what it is. I feel like the whole entrepreneurship can be broken down into facing obstacles and getting beat by the obstacles over and over again, and being stubborn enough to keep going regardless of the outcome.
Yeah, I love that. And these are things that these gurus don't like to talk about because they're not the sexy words, the patience, the consistency, the self-discipline. These aren't words that are going to get you to buy a product. These aren't words that are going to get you to buy into their lifestyle. And one of the huge things that I love about entrepreneurship is being able to see something in the future that I'm working towards that nobody else around me can even understand. That these people who are working towards these things that haven't even been existed yet or haven't even been created yet, and other people are just around doing their own thing, unaware of what they're doing, and they'll talk down. I've had people tell me that what I'm doing isn't feasible, what I'm doing isn't possible, friends and family. And I used to let it get to me when I wasn't as confident in what I was doing, when I didn't understand the true value that I was providing to the marketplace. When you were starting out, did you have people, friends and family, that were telling you that you couldn't do this or that you should take the traditional route?
Yeah, but I mean, what is the traditional route? Like there is no, I mean, the problem with society today is that instead of preparing people for the road, we try to prepare the road for the people so that there's no bumps and it's smooth and it's going to lead you to greatness and success and wealth and notoriety and all that. And now, like, because of the pandemic, the road kind of washed away and people are just sitting there. It's like a refugee camp made up of society. When's the road coming back? And yeah, always, every day. I mean, anything I ever set out to do, I never had a single person, really say, this is awesome, do it. It's always just been like, I had to do it. I mean, when I got into nightlife, I mean, not a single person, even my best friend who got into the nightlife with me at the time told me, this isn't going to work. He's like, I was like, you did it with me. We made it work. He's like, no, going forward, it's not going to work. I told my family pet, I told the dog, I'm going to get into nightlife, and the dog left the room. I mean, nope, not a single person like wanted anything to do with me, teachers, friends, anything. And if I had listened to them, then I wouldn't be here talking to you. I mean, it's just you have to follow the inner call, because it's never going to be quelled. And if you ignore it, I mean, it's bad. I mean, that is what breeds mental illness. I think it's because you're being cordoned off from your own powers. I mean, you're being cut off from what you aim to do. So I mean, listen, I was 17 and I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm just going to go to Miami and take it over and do it. And that's what I did. And it's just everybody, the kids at school when I first met, they're like, you're like, you don't have any connections, you can't do this. I mean, it was always like that, and it was just until you get some level of success and make it's still very difficult. I mean, you have to push past all the doubts and all the fears and all the people that say it can't be done, because they're trying to nullify your capabilities. They're trying to negate what you want to do. It's better to do something that you want to do and fail at it than to never do it at all. I mean, it's just, most people will not try. They will not try. They will not come out of their comfort zone. They will not put themselves out there. They will not take the criticism. They will not take the rejection. They will not do any of that. They will just listen to what everyone says, and if everybody likes it, which never happens. You never come out the gate with something that is universally accepted. There will always be naysayers. There will always be people that say it's stupid, it's not going to work, and you just got to push past it. I mean, everything that's never going to work works. Like, it's one of the stories I always use is Milton Hershey, where he wanted to build a factory in Hershey, Pennsylvania, and he wanted to have chocolate made from locally sourced, cows, and it's going to be, it's going to be the best chocolate on the market. And everyone's like, "Can't be done. You're wasting your money." I mean, come on. It's like the most ubiquitous candy bar. You say Hershey, you know what it means. Everybody knows. But again, he just pushed past what everyone said. He pushed past what the chemist said. He pushed past what the industry said. He pushed past what his partners said. I mean, he invested his life savings to create this candy company, which became the number one candy company. So you have to really go forward in the face of the objections, in the face of the challenges, in the face of the rejection, and you just have to keep going. Because you'll end up in a place where those people will they won't even notice that you're gone, or they're going to come back and be like, "I knew you had it in you. I knew you could do it. It was always in you." And that happens a lot. There's people that you remember who was like an early supporter, because they're not many. There's only like maybe a handful, if you're lucky. Usually it's less. And you remember who could actually say, "I remember when you were starting and I saw you doing what you were doing." And then you have people that just hop on, hitchhikers. "Oh yeah, I remember you. It was great. I always knew you had it in you." And it's like, "Yo, I remember you laughed at me." I remember you looked in my eye and laughed at me and walked away. So don't be coming over here and be like, "Yeah, we're best friends. You were the first supporter," because people want to be, they want to be on the bandwagon. He could do it. He could do it. And it's like, that's just how people are. It's easier to just follow the success and follow the herd and be like, "Oh, I want to do this," and be around for the good times. But for the bad times, people don't want to be around the bad times. They just want to, say, "Okay, good luck, whatever," until you make it. They're like, "Oh yeah, I saw you. It's great. And, let me know if you need anything." So you have to go forward, and you have to. The confidence will come the further you take that first step. You just have to keep going. I mean, that's the hardest part. It's people forget that indecision is a decision in itself, and that it's probably worse than making the wrong decision, because you waste so much time just go, "Oh, one day I'll do it," until like you're out of time. I mean, we're all on the clock, just nobody wants to admit it.
Yeah. And a big part of decision making, which I feel like this isn't talked about enough in school, is following your intuition, trusting your gut. And we're not taught to look within at all. we're taught to look around us, to look at statistics, and to look at what other people's opinions are, when we don't realize that pretty much all the knowledge we need, and books are great. Obviously, I got all my books, but a lot of the knowledge that we need is already within us, telling us what we need to do, telling us this inner fire. And I noticed that this was kind of dim for me through the school system, where I realized that they were basically just training us to be employees. You go there for 8 hours a day, you get your 4 hours of schoolwork at home, or your 4 hours of homework at home. And then what else do you have to do? You don't have time for personal development. You don't have time to start a business. And again, these are excuses as well. But if you're getting your energy literally sucked out of you, or putting it towards one thing that you think is, oh, me getting this good grades is going to get me successful in life, it's not as simple as that, but they want to make it seem like that. Do you feel like entrepreneurship should be taught in, say, middle school or high school?
Yes, I think it should be taught definitely. I mean, across the whole curriculum. I mean, I feel like people are being trained for a world that doesn't exist anymore. That's kind of what it is. We're on an assembly line for a world that doesn't exist. I never like staying in school 8 hours a day. That's why I usually cut, or I just like whatever. Like, what are you gonna do? I got the highest GPA in the place. I'm out of here. It's 1 o'clock. I'm gonna go do something. There's no benefit, but people don't know any different. Teachers don't know any different because they've been stuck in the same system, for 8 hours a day. That's how they came up. And really, essentially, like, again, you're being trained to be a drone. You're not being trained to think critically. You're not being trained to look at other aspects and avenues. We spend too much time looking, praying for an angel when you really need to be examining angles. You need to be like, how can I do this? And really non-lateral thinking. And really, I think it's more important, because I was even thinking about, like, in my high school, we did a lot of poster boards. I have a project, I have to do a poster board. Like, when are we ever going to need a poster board? Like, papers I can understand, because you have to do the research, you have to do papers and reading, you have to read and know the knowledge and whatnot. But there's just like poster boards, just like, it's like dumb. We're never gonna, even in companies, we're never gonna come up with poster boards. So yeah, entrepreneurship should be taught, and I mean, there should be skills. I mean, listen, not everyone's an entrepreneur. A lot of people need to be told what to do. Being an entrepreneur is about obeying yourself, and for a lot of people, that's a lot harder than obeying others. They think, oh, it's easy, I can do whatever you want. But then it's like, okay, let me scroll through the phone, let me put on Netflix, let me plug in the Xbox, let me text nonstop and text and have a group text, and it's just all these distractions, and people are just kind of dulling their senses into oblivion. I mean, entrepreneurship, again, it can be taught, but at the same time, it's up to the individual to pursue it. And I mean, going back to what you said, Carl Jung had a quote that was, those who look outside dream, those who look inside awaken. And most people don't want to look inside and awaken. They want to look outside and dream. They want to have the big house with the giant lawn, with the lawnmower, with the GPS in case they get lost mowing the lawn. They want all that, but you really need to have the skills and the ability to recognize opportunities, how to actually tackle those opportunities. I think a big part of entrepreneurship is how to work with other people. I mean, that's kind of like a main focus is, are you able to work with other people? How do they interpret information? What's their archetype? Are they visual learners? Are they audio learners? Or, is their ego going to be a problem? This is kind of street stuff. They don't teach you unless you take psychology, which I did it. I should have, but I did it. But unless you really, understand human behavior and how people work and what their angles are, you're going to face a really rough time. Not everyone's like you. People have their own agenda. A lot of people, 98, I would say 98% of the general populace are just stone cold idiots. They're just stone cold idiots. They don't know anything. They don't have the wherewithal to really go after what they want. They need to be told what to do. And, I think that's the reason in 2020 we had just a big issue with people like, I can't stay home, I have to go out, because they were put in a situation they'd never been put into before, where it's like they couldn't go to Applebee's for happy hour, or they couldn't go on their summer trip, or they were used to going to an office, not have to sit at the kitchen table, and people just couldn't adapt. They just needed to be told what to do. But other people were just like, okay, this is fine. I was social distancing before it was cool. Let's get stuff rolling. And we just keep moving on it. But a lot of people don't have that. A lot of people have to be literally, I need you in the office because I need to tell you what to do. I need you at that table so I can see what you're doing. I need to monitor you so I know you're not wasting your time. A normal person is like, I don't need this. I can do it wherever. I'll get the work done faster than anybody and we'll accomplish the goals. But most people, they have to be told, okay, well, 3 o'clock we have a staff meeting, and 4 o'clock it's Jenny from accounting's birthday party, and 5 o'clock we're going to Margarita Monday, And oh no, I can't because it's 7 o'clock. We have a project managers meeting. And oh no, like they need that structure. They need that structure. And when you don't have a structure, it's like anarchy to those people. But to an entrepreneur, it's like there is no structure. You do whatever you want. If I can get all my work done at 6 a.m. to noon, I want to do all my work at 6 a.m. noon. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to hang out. I'm going to go work out. I'm going to go get back at it at 3 or 4 o'clock. I mean, most of the, I don't want to say I have a career. That's giving it too much credit. Most of my life, whenever I've done everything, it's always just been, okay, I'm going to get this done because I can't sleep until it's done. I don't like in the back of my mind. I want to get this done now. And, the people you have to work with, just a lot of them, out of 10 people, one of them is going to be a hustler. One of them is going to be a hustler. And that's the person I want to work with is that, I don't want to sound like a geek, but I'm going to sound like a geek. We're going to make a Star Wars reference. It's like the way I like to work is like, gold 1, gold 2, take out the Star Destroyers. The rest of you come with me to the Death Star trench run. And we go fast. Most people are like, wait, what time? Hold on. What? I can't then. Hold on. Wait, they go too slow, so the world belongs to the quick and the dead. You got to be able to be flexible. You got to be able to go forward, and you can't have doubts. You got to push past the doubts and just keep moving forward. I mean, people they worry too much and they make these excuses and then they trip themselves up. I mean, Seneca wrote that you're more cruel to yourself than the world is cruel to you, and that's what these people are. They're just they kill themselves before they even begin, and this is never going to work, and I have an excuse that I can't do this, or this is too much for me, and blah blah. And it's like, listen, stop, waiting for the right circumstances. It's never going to be there, and just hustle. Just got to do. Let's get going. So that's kind of my mentality with it, and it's that's just the world. The world likes things that are in order, and they like things to be a certain time to a certain time, and I need to have me time. I need to have this, and it's like, you're already in a role. You just can't see it. It's like it's better to do your own thing, and it's better to just go after something and take a chance. And I mean, it's better to be a loser than someone that never played a game. And I think even if you lost, you're not a loser because at least you had the guts. Once you realize how many people don't have the guts to just get up there and do it, then it's like, really, what am I beating myself over for? These people, they can't. They don't have they just don't have it in them to put themselves out there and to put the time in and the discipline to create something and stay up late or work on a Friday night or work on a weekend to get stuff done. They just don't have it in them.
Yeah, and it also depends on how you define success. I know that for me, that even if my business doesn't become, say, monetarily profitable as a business, I know that the impact that I've had just in the past month of hundreds of thousands of views across social media platforms, that's what I want to do is teach people about this stuff, that mental health, emotional intelligence, self-love, it needs to be taught in school. And I believe that these things are foundations for any entrepreneur to have, because how are you going to be able to control your company if you can't control yourself? How are you going to be able to tell other people what to do and have them listen to you when you can't even listen to yourself? Well, yourself wanted you to get up 6 a.m., but you slept until 7:30 and didn't do anything that you said you were going to do. And a big thing about this is that I think that we're not taught to explore ourselves. And this is one of the things that you talk about in your book, Looking Within. Do you think things such as journaling should be taught in school?
I think it should. I've never journaled. I mean, I had to do it in like third grade. It was kind of boring to me. It was like, today I played Mortal Kombat 2 and I ripped someone's head off. It was like, what are you writing about? This kid's a psychopath. Like it's. I think journaling is. I mean, it helps people. I've never been a journaling person, but I think it should. I mean, I feel like you're always going to be alone with your thoughts, and to think too much is a disease. That's what Dostoevsky said. There's another quote. I don't remember who said it, but it said, more life leaves a man through thought than through a gaping wound. And people, they just think too much, and they need to have an outlet. Whether that outlet is talking to themselves, whether that outlet is giving speeches, whether that outlet is writing. I mean, there has to be something. I mean, we're churning out a generation of just drones that can't think, and we're churning out. I mean, it even goes back before smartphones and all that. Because I mean, I know that a lot of the people I knew were just already idiots, and the smartphone and everything else kind of just added to another layer to that. And you really need people to think, because as it goes to your point, how if you can't command yourself, how can you command others? And the fact is, we don't have any leaders anymore. We have bosses. There's a difference. The bosses scream. The leaders are just like, they get things done with like a single 1 sentence email. And the leaders are respected. The bosses are kind of, nobody respects the boss. And it's like, oh, the boss is killing me. He wants to work late. And like, no, that's the problem. Everyone's a boss, but we don't have a leader, because the leader is usually the first to suffer. They don't want to do that. I work so hard. I'm at the number one. Why am I the first to suffer? But they set the example. You know, the leaders are the ones that have to set the example. So, you know, if they're working late, then they're going to inspire others to work late. That's why it's like, oh, my boss is making me work late, and I'm the only one here. But if like the leader was there, it'd be like, okay, let's do this. Let's get this done. Two is better than one. And hey, there's 10 other people here. Let's make everyone work late. And you know, it's like, let's just get this done. And you know, we don't have that anymore. It's so rare to find a real leader, and it's so rare to find someone that's a true motivator and that can really, you know, get their point across and not come off as, you know, a bossy know-it-all that is just, you know, has a meaningless title, you know, that just has the position. And you know, and I see it. I mean, I see it across all these different spectrums and, you know, in industries and whatnot. And, you know, a lot of people, there's no humility. There's no, you know, there's no humbleness. And people are just like, look at me, look what I'm doing, and this is what I can do. And they just talk about themselves, and they turn off prospective clients, and they turn off prospective employees, and they turn off prospective partners because they spend a lot of time just focusing on, you know, all their stats. And you could do that in one sentence. You know, hi, I started this. This is what we're doing. How can we work together? That's it. You know, straight to the point. Nobody wants to spend too much time hearing about somebody else talk, and you know, just go for it. But we don't have that anymore. We just have too many bosses.
Yeah. And that's another thing that I'm of the belief that leadership can be taught. And I know this, or it can be learned, because from my experience for the first 19 years of my life, I was not a leader. I was a follower, a sheep, whatever you want to call those types of people. And I noticed it was because I didn't look within. I always looked from without, and I was jealous of what other people were doing. And another huge thing about this, and I like how you said that journaling doesn't work for you, because it shows that we're all unique. We all have different things that work for us. And one of the things that I want the school system to do, and if they're not going to do it, I'm going to do it for them because they got to get their act together, is that you got to stop treating everybody like they're the same person. Like there's this cookie cutter person about how everybody is supposed to be, and we all take the same standardized multiple choice tests to get these grades that up until really college don't even matter. And maybe some people do journaling, maybe some people make music or paint or do poetry. But if we're not telling people to explore this and to encourage them to explore how they like to express their uniqueness, then what are we really doing? Are we really doing people more of a disservice by cramming their minds with all this information to memorize for these tests? I mean, you're not going to take a multiple choice test in any job you're ever going to do. So why are we taking it to people? Why aren't we telling people to write essays about yourself? How about we do group activities that practice leadership? Just some things off the top of my head, but what do you think about stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's we need leaders. We need leaders, and the fact is that, you know, everyone's born a genius. They just get de-geniused as they go through school. You know, there's a thing Carl Sagan wrote that was like the kindergartners were the most inquisitive people because they'll ask anything and they won't work. They just have nothing to prove. But then you go back a few years later and everyone's already like those same kids have already have their established roles. He's the class clown. He's the class athlete. You know, he's the class. You know, this is the nerd and all this stuff. But you know, it's because they kind of just get de-geniused. That's it. You know, and people they lose that. And you know, genius is easy to come by. You know, it's 99% perspiration and 1% inspiration, but nobody wants to do that. So we need to have some sort of, you know, how to be a leader, and we need to have people that look out for one another, and we need to have people that, you know, we can identify who are going to be on track. Because some people are not, you know, even if they teach leadership, they're just things are going to prevent them from taking hold. And it's and if they can't get past that, if they can't, you know, live in the moment and do it, then they're just going to collapse, you know, and they need to have the other leader come and support them. I mean, there's always been circumstances where when I was doing nightlife, things would change by the minute. You got to be on point by the minute, and you have tons of people depending on you. Not like, oh, my 8 coworkers, like, oh, I got to guess it's 1,000 people, and I need to relay information, and you know, we've got to do this, and we've got the fire marshal coming, and the sponsor, and blah blah blah. So you got to be able to be on point, and a lot of people just, you know, they just take their drinks and dull themselves out and let someone else deal with it. And I was usually the one that had to deal with it, but that's what I did because people were depending on me. I feel like when you have people that depend on you, when you have that responsibility, it's a game changer. But most people they don't want responsibility because one, whenever something goes wrong, the first thing that people are going to ask is who's responsible for this, and nobody wants to have the fortitude to be like I am. You know, I'm responsible for this complete mess up of everything. most people are just going to point fingers. They put their heads down, and it's like, listen, if you want to be in the position to lead, you have to take all the burdens that come with it, and the burdens is it's freedom, because freedom means responsibility. I did this. It was my call. It was a bad call. What are you going to do? I may have used poor judgment. But that's how you got to roll with it. And the stuff I used to get into, and the stuff I used to pull off, and the things I used to have to deal with. I mean, the average person just like they couldn't even dream of handling that, especially not at like 19 or 21 or whatever. They just like, oh, they don't have it in me, because again, they're fearful, and they don't want to take that extra leap. They rather just, I'd rather work with a team and blah blah. It's like, well, listen, you have to take charge sooner or later, And again, it goes back to your earlier points. And stop blaming it. Yeah, okay, stop blaming. It's a toxic workforce. He doesn't respect this person about this. And it's like, listen, people are going to be different. Some people you work with, especially in my case with nightlife, are going to just be crackheads. And other people are going to be drug addicts. And some people are going to be dropouts. Some people are going to be deadbeats. That's the whole staff. Like that's everybody. So you got to work with those people, and you got to really have to have this street sense about you to come through and make things happen. And that's what it's really all about. So, we need more people like that. We need people to put themselves out there and not to wear their heart on a sleeve, and not get triggered, and not get emotionally beaten up, and not have to turn to alcohol or drugs or whatever after a hard day. We just need people to kind of roll with the punches. I mean, that's how like winning and success and everything is done. It's never an easy path. It's never like, got a job, got promoted to CEO. It was great. It was awesome. No struggles, nothing. Like, it doesn't work like that. What's the Navy SEAL saying I'm thinking of? You have three options: give in, give up, or give it your all. And most people give in or give up. Give it your all. I don't got anything left to give. I don't get paid till next week. And it's like, come on. So so you can easily see that. I feel that's why people are so rare, like actual true leaders, is because they're the ones that are like, okay, I'll handle it. They'll just volunteer and put themselves in the face of danger, and most people won't.
Yeah, I agree. There definitely is some type of intrinsic drive that either comes from a goal that you want to see achieved, a dream. And as you said in your book, entrepreneurs are just dreamers. If you're not a dreamer, if you don't have a dream, then you have no motivation. You have no inner fire that's burning within you that you have to just go for and do it. And I love how you said that people in kindergarten are geniuses, because in our society, we look at everything backwards. We think that you're learning more as you grow up, but actually what's happening is you're kind of sucking the learning out of people. And I know this for me, that my desire for reading and knowledge got absolutely dimmed through the terrible books they made us read in middle school and high school. And I can understand why people would graduate high school and never want to read a book again. It's only until I found out that, wow, like there are books that I actually enjoy that could give me knowledge that's more worth than the $5 or $10 that I paid, that I actually want to spend my time to go in on this. And I just think one book that should be required for every high schooler to read is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Another one, How to Win Friends and Influence People. If people read these books in high school, it might make them think differently. Well, is college even right for me? Wait, what do I want to do? How do I want to spend my time over the next 20 to 40 years? But people have such a short-term mindset. They think, how can it help me right now? And people think, and that's another thing I remember in your book, that if you want instant gratification, this isn't for you. That's not what entrepreneurship is about. And that's the world we're kind of being trained for, and all this social media stuff and all this BS crap. What do you think is one book that you've read that any single high schooler should be required to read?
Wow, just one? It's not Catcher in the Rye. I mean, I get it. It's Catcher in the Rye, Catch 22. I mean, I've read them all. Like, it's fine. You're talking to the dude that was on Jeopardy, so I had to know my stuff. But yeah, one that you should read. That's a tough one.
You can also say multiple.
I'd say Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. I think that should be the number one required book. Good luck getting that in there. That's talk about a warning. You got to sign a permission slip to read that book. I'd say that's number one. Everybody has to read Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. I'm gonna even have a second book, same title, similar title, different author, same time frame. Man's Search for Himself by R.E.member. I'd say that's one needs to be read. I'm gonna have to say Courage to Create also by R.E.member. I think There's just so many. I mean, I'm like a bibliophile. I'm like you, and so I've read so many books. So, but yeah, going back to high school, there was no one book in high school that was ever prescribed to me that was like, oh, Lord of the Flies, it changed my life. Like, oh, it was great. It was more like I read the book and I was just like, there was nothing even about insects in here. I thought it was going to be like a book of like a bug's life. I thought, I thought it was going to be like that. Um, no, there was. I mean, yeah, like I get it, but you could easily get those books. Like, you could read those books and get it, but at the same time, it's like I feel like there needs to be books to prepare you for life. So I feel like those books. I feel like The Art of Worldly Wisdom by Balthasar Gracian, a book that no one's ever heard of but me. I keep saying it. I keep saying it. Oh, there he is. Okay. Yes, he's got The Art of Worldly Wisdom. It's the only other person in my entire life that actually has a copy of The Art of Worldly Wisdom. Definitely. I found that book when I was started my senior year in high school. Okay. I've had the same copy for over 20, okay, almost 20 years. Yeah, almost 20 years. I've had the same copy. That is a book I found on my own. And I mean, I was reading it in high school. It's absolutely amazing. So there's so many. I mean, there needs to be more, self-improvement, self-development, just things to shoot for. There's so many. And I feel like we're robbing a lot of people because unless people get lucky enough to stumble across a teacher or professor that is really going to open their eyes and give them some book that's like, wow, that's going to change my life, they're going to have to find it on their own. And you're not going to find it on your own because every book these days has some stupid idiot's face on the cover, and they're promising you how you can grow rich and have 5 private jets by the time you're 25, and how it's their dream to help 1 million entrepreneurs make 10 figures and succeed and blah blah blah. Like, you're not going to find it. You got to go to like the classics. You got to go to like the real solid books, and there's so many. And a lot of people just unless they have the fortune to stumble upon them, they're not going to find them. I mean, there are certain books. Same thing with like movies. There's gems. There are gems out there, but you have to kind of search for the gems. It's not going to be like the things that are trending. It's not going to be like the best sellers. They're going to be the ones that came out 50 years ago, 60 years ago, 70 years ago that no one's ever heard of. But I'm like, damn, this is the book. This is definitely the book. Or they came out hundreds of years ago. In the case of Balthasar Gracian, Art of Worldly Wisdom. Again, you're the only person that has a copy. Like, it's 100. That was a 17th century book. Like, you're never going to find these books. And I feel like you need to have, how should I put this? Newton said, if I've accomplished anything, it's by standing on the shoulders of giants. These books let you stand on the shoulders of giants. These books, especially now, you could probably get them extremely cheap, next to nothing. You could read them instantaneously. You could keep them for life. You could refer back to them. And, it's needed. Just nobody wants to read anymore. Nobody, unless it's a caption or unless it's, something really short, nobody wants to sit down and read a 600-page book. And there's so many good ones. I could just keep naming them, and just people are they just don't want to read books, So high school and middle school should definitely have required reading. And I love The Count of Monte Cristo. It's a great book, it's a better movie. But I think for 8th grade, I just bring this up. My 8th grade summer reading should not be a book as heavy as The Count of Monte Cristo. It shouldn't. It should be Mad Search for Meaning. It should be something where it's like, wow, this is amazing and this is awesome. And then throughout the semester we could do Count of Monte Cristo, because you can't read that book on your own. I mean, that book, even, it's so thick, and it's like it's good, but it's like you can't give like a 13-year-old that book over the summer. You got to do that over a semester to like really read aloud and analyze and stuff. But yeah, there needs to be more self-development and self-improvement books, because just nobody cares, and nobody, you're turning people off from the power of words, the power of reading, by assigning them books that they're good, but at the same time, they're not life-changing books. No one's life was changed by Catch 22 or Lord of the Flies. They're good, but they're not like, unless it inspired you to become a writer, and that was it. But they're not. Most people are just like, I'm watching the movie. That's it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I just love hearing about other people's books that have changed their life, because I've read so many. And then I just am always like, wow, there's so many more that I just have to read, that I want to read. And I started reading this because you recommended to me The Art of Worldly Wisdom. And it's great. It makes me think that, why aren't people reading about this? And then I have this insight. Well, this book right here will cost you $5 to get in paperback. A drink at a bar is going to cost you 10 to 12 bucks. People are more likely to shell out 10 to 12 bucks for a drink at a bar then a book like this that's $5 that could literally give you millions of dollars worth of information. I'm not even exaggerating about that. It's what you do with the information, but the information is power. The information is literally golden, but it's where people's priorities are, and people's priorities are clearly not with gaining this knowledge because they don't see what it can do for them immediately. What would you say to that point, that maybe this knowledge can't do something for me immediately? Because I know it can, but this is for the detractors to say that no, it can't. I want to go buy that drink.
I mean, it's kind of just superficiality of it, where it's like, yeah, the drink's gonna make me feel better for like a night, unless I drink too many of it. I'm gonna have a good time, but it's like, I think superficiality is like kind of like the disease that no one talks about. We all talk about mindfulness, mental health, but superficiality is like the real disease, where it's like, I need to get a drink, and I need to have this, and I need to go out, and I have to show it on my stories and my reel and my TikTok. And like, listen, these books are gonna open your mind, and they're gonna be a companion for years. Art of Worldly Wisdom since 2002. I had my copy, same copy, and it's just something that you carry with you. You can always turn to it, and it's you stand on the shoulders of giants, and that information it might not help you that second, but it'll at least open your mind to other thinking patterns. Maybe it leads to other books. Maybe it leads to something that you want to do. Maybe it inspires you or motivates you. And it's really they're essential, but just nobody wants them anymore. Nobody, people just rather focus on the immediate present, and at the end of the day, years are going to go by, and then they're going to look back and say, what did I do? I should have been doing this instead. James Baldwin has a quote that, how did it go? I just thought of it. I didn't rehearse any of these. They come to mind, where I often think what I could have accomplished had I done what I want to do instead of being told what I had to do. And if you focus on something and you focus on a long-term goal, I mean, these books are going to help you reach that goal. That's it. It's going to open you up to different thinking processes, different knowledge. It's going to lead you down different paths, but only if you open the book. Only if you open it and read it and sink it in. And I feel like knowledge is something that just people are like, oh, whatever. Siri, what's the capital of Botswana? Like it's why do I need this? Or it's like, hold on. It's like Alexa. What? Like that's it. It's all instantaneous knowledge, but you're not learning anything. And these books help you critically think. They help you look at other thought patterns. They help you just really they prepare you for life. I think it was Seneca. Pretty sure Seneca. Could be wrong, but he said books are the training weights of the mind. So it's good to work out, but you want to have that mind to follow up with. You want to have you want to be mentally prepared. You want to be sharp, and again, most people are just idiots. They're stone cold idiots. There's no knowledge anymore. So if people think of you as smart, think of how many doors are going to open. Think of how many people always complain. We need someone that can handle this, that's smart enough, that's intelligent enough. Well, that's what books do. They just let you do it. And I mean, I feel like even during the pandemic, the height of the pandemic, I was doing one book a day. I was reading one book a day. I was balancing it. I was reading one like serious book, and then I was reading like a trashy detective novel, because as a screenwriter, I love the detective and the thriller genre. So I wanted to get improve myself with like who done it. It was the butler. It was the ex-husband. Something like that. Old school Raymond Chandler. Kind of stuff. Those are the kind that I prefer. But yeah, like 99 cents on Kindle. Read it. Expand my mind, see where it goes, and just keep going. And I feel like if people didn't do it this past year, they're never going to do it. And it's sad because we need a rebirth of respecting knowledge. We need a rebirth of having knowledge, where it's like it's cool to know stuff. It's cool not to be a stupid idiot. It's absolutely amazing to have to be thought of as smart, and be thought of as intelligent, and to be thought of as someone that can handle everything because this guy knows everything. I mean, that's why I just refer to myself as a polymath, because like I don't have one area of expertise. I'm expert in a lot of different areas, and I can back it up because I read books. I can back it up because it's like I have a whole lot of general knowledge because of from the books. So yeah, people should read books. Nothing bad comes from reading. Nothing bad. There's no detriment to reading a book on self-improvement, a book on mythology, a book on heroism, a book on on physics, whatever. There is always something there that will open your mind and really inspire you. And it might lead you down different paths, but you can't get to those paths unless you have these books.
Yeah. And something that really fascinates me about reading as well is that you could have two people could read the same book. I could read this same book as somebody else, yet I could take a ton out of it and apply it to my life experience. And somebody could take it with their preconceived notions and be like, this is utter crap. So I'll be reading just reviews on, say, Amazon that this book completely changed my life. And another person is just 1 star, terrible, awful. Think about it. That's not the information that was in the book. That was how you applied it to your life. So I want to share that with anyone that go into books, maybe have a little skepticism, but go into it with an open mind, because a lot of people don't go into anything with an open mind, especially reading a book, and just understand about how that one thing can completely change your life. And another thing that's inspiring me lately, would you like to just share a little bit about your new venture, the Utopian Journey?
Oh, of course, especially after an introduction like that. For all you 1 star naysayers. um, yeah, so Utopia Journey, YOU. We'll put the link down below because I know people are going to type it in and be like, I can't find nothing. All I found is a spa in Arizona. you know? Um, yeah, so yeah, Utopia Journey is essentially the first comic book graphic novel for self help, self improvement, self development, mental health, overcoming obstacles. It's there's a million self help books out there, and again, it's someone with the pose. How I overcame, how I overcame my inner struggles, and you can too, or the arms crossed, or looking into the horizon, some stupid thing. We got enough of those. There's enough of those stupid things. They don't help anybody. They're terrible. So I wanted to do something that no one else is doing. No one's doing a comic book. Love the comic book medium. Always wanted to do one. So this was kind of like, okay, I'm going to do a comic book, and I'm going to do a comic book where, again, the comic book medium has been kind of trashy the past, I don't know how many years. It's the same thing. Nothing can stop Superman. He's been around for like 100 years. No one's going to stop him. Same thing with Batman. Okay, we get it. His parents were killed. He needs therapy. He doesn't need to be Batman. Like it's the same thing. You know, but I want to do something where it's something that's just visual. People get it. It speaks to them, and it's a heroic journey. It's the heroic journey that, for those who don't know, that is the inspiration of all mythology, all great movies. The examples I always use is The Matrix or Star Wars. It's the two greatest stories of the heroic journey, where it's the whiny kid that is unhappy, that gets the call to adventure and embarks on an adventure that changes his entire life and inspires sequels. Depending which genre you like, the sequels might not be as good. But it's yeah. So it follows the heroic journey, and the heroic journey is for the reader to become a hero. It's for the reader to become inspired. It's for the reader to actually think from that artwork and the associated captions and whatnot to really realize that, hey, I'm not the only one with these thoughts. I'm not the only one that is experiencing this. I'm not the only one that feels lost. I'm not the only one that is struggling. I'm not the only one that's lacking motivation. I'm not the only one that's lacking inspiration. And it's done in a way where, again, it's not me lecturing. It's in a way where it's like a friend telling you what to do and a friend pushing you along and showing artwork that is a lot of psychology and a lot of philosophical concepts and even religious concepts, just from the world, mythology, whatever, everything kind of put in, because I don't like to be tethered down to one school of thought. I think all the schools of thought are great. I think you could take what you want from each one of them and put them all together into something that is a guide for life. And that's what Utopia Journey is. It's a guide for life. It's something that it's always going to be there. And if you have a bad day, you could refer back to it and go, oh, this is the panel I like. This is the artwork that speaks to me. This is what I'm feeling. And I'm not going to give up because of this. And this looks awesome. So yeah, that's what we're doing. And it's a lot of cool stuff happening, so we could click the link below, follow the Instagram of Utopia Journey, sign up to the free Substack newsletter, goes out every Sunday where we provide exclusive artwork, go more into detail and depth for it. There's a lot of cool stuff coming with it. There's a lot of stuff that is going to be coming down the pipeline. So like, subscribe, share, tag a friend, and turn notifications on. I think I handled all that. Yeah, okay. They've all been handled. Like I said, this is the guy that spends 10 minutes a day on social media. So it's like there's a new thing that always comes out where it's like, here, hash brown this or whatever. So yeah, that's what we got going on. Utopia Journey.
Yeah, I'll be sure to put those links in the description, the Instagram and the newsletter. I just want to say from personal experience that I've been reading the newsletter and it's just been very valuable. And again, it's free. People love free stuff. And it's just somebody giving you value for nothing. And one of the things I really like about the Utopian Journey in general is a nice little alliteration there. But the Utopian Journey is basically somebody trying to spread positivity through social media. And social media, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion, is probably 80 to 90% negativity. It's toxicity. It wants you to get you to hate yourself. It doesn't want you to actually help yourself. And this is the type of content that's exactly in line with the type of content I make. This personal development, self-help, emotional intelligence, mental health, all this stuff that's meant to uplift, inspire you, and to get you to look within and introspect and realize that you're a lot more powerful than you think. And all the reasons that you think that you aren't powerful are all the lies and limiting beliefs that are just repeating through your mind. They might not even be your own thoughts, your own original rants. They could be other people telling you this, things that you've heard in media. And I like how just you're one of the people also pioneering this and getting this positivity and trying to actually help people. So I commend you for that. And just one thing that I had to ask you, obviously, you were on Jeopardy. Just what was that experience like, and what was it like meeting Alex Trebek?
Well, thank you for the kind words. I think everyone's going to dig it. I don't think social media is toxic. I think it's radioactive. I think it's radioactive. I feel it's Chernobyl on a 10 megaton scale. So, but yeah, we're trying to, like I said, I think this is something that's going to help people. I think it's going to, it has a global appeal. So definitely click the links. And yeah, as far as Jeopardy, I mean, listen, Jeopardy was amazing. It was just something I always wanted to do. And people fear that. They feel, oh, I can't go on there because of the cameras or the studio audience and the categories and the pressure. I'm like, listen, it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of anxiety. It's a crucible, but you have to do what you're afraid to do. And, the fact is, like, taking, William James has a quote that said, I will act as if what I do makes a difference, right? I will act as if what I do makes a difference. I'm going to take the Jeopardy test. I'm going to act like I'm going to win it. And that's what I did, and, he also said, action might not lead to happiness, but there could be no happiness without action. So you have to be actionable. Like, to get on Jeopardy is extremely difficult. Just to give people the stats. One, the number one question I get is there a study guide? They don't give you a study guide. I didn't get a guide to the hotel. They call you and say, you're on the show, be here at this date. Here's the hotel you stay at. Wear these clothes. See ya. They don't give you anything. So most people think, oh, you study. Well, how do you study? You just have to study. Who knows what's going to be on it? There's no way to properly prepare because it's all up to the luck of the draw. But the Jeopardy test, the stats are very, very difficult. So usually it's about 80,000 people that take a test, right? Out of that test, 2,500 pass, just to show how difficult the test is. Out of the 2,500, you go to the audition. That's the hardest part, because what I later found out is that people spend 10, 20, 30 years. They can't pass the audition. They can't pass the audition because the audition, you're on camera, you play a fake game, and you take 2 more tests. So you have to take 2 more tests, one after the other, in a room with people. And, you have to be on your game. And then you have to have the buzzer. You talk with the Clue crew, and you have to play a whole game. And out of the 2,500, they call maybe 300 or less. It's just about 300. So it's like 0.1% get the call to go on the show, because they vet it. They make sure that you know your stuff. So 1, you have to know your stuff. 2, you have to have the confidence to get up there and just play. I mean, I was playing before the pandemic, so live studio audience, the whole shebang, Alex Trebek. And, just being up there was awesome. Getting the daily doubles were awesome. High-fiving Alex Trebek on air, and I'm the last contestant to ever high-five him. Like, it's amazing. But you have to have the confidence to do it. You have to have the execution within you to do it. And most people, they just, again, it comes down to the excuse. I don't know anything. I can't make it. It's like, listen, if you really want to do it, you'll do it. And to me, it wasn't like I was, I lost on the game, and it really annoyed me because, like, it was a daily double that sunk me. But at the same time, it's a daily double question that not a single person I've ever met, besides people that have lived in the city, know about. So it's not like I lost to, like, this team won last year's Super Bowl. It wasn't something that was universal. It was the most nitpicky thing I never came across in my entire life. So, I was hard on myself until I realized that not a single person knows it. And 2, like, okay, I lost on Jeopardy, even though I knew I was the only contestant no final Jeopardy. I still got to go, and I'm going on another game show. I'm going to go back on the Jeopardy Revenge Tour, because now I know how it works. Now it's not so scary being up there under the bright lights or anything. So I don't let anything break me. I don't let any especially because a lot of people, when you lose Jeopardy, at home, it's just like, thanks for watching. But, when you're in the studio, those losers, I mean, they got broken. They literally got broken. You got to do a walk of shame out the studio. So, it's something that, I didn't want that happening to me. So, everyone was sad to see me to go, because it was a lot of fun being up there and everybody was laughing and whatnot, but at the same time, like, oh, what are you going to do? And I say, Price is Right. What do you think? You go to the next one. Don't worry, I'm not here for the money. I'm here for the envy. you know. So, or my favorite, as I told Alex, that's okay. Winning is for losers. So, you know, that's what it is. You just got to go do it. So, no, it was awesome. I tell everybody because so many people saw it. They say, "How I want to do it?" I say, "Just do it. Take the test." There's no secret I can tell you that's like, you know, going to get you on the show any better than it got me. Just take the test, study, know your information, and go out there and have fun and see what happens. You might win, you might not, but again, less than 300 people a year can claim to be on that show. It's not like, you know, any other game show where it's like, you have a pulse, why don't you be on TV? You know, all right, he's breathing, let's get him on set. So yeah, it's definitely awesome. I recommend everyone doing it, and you know, hopefully, I'm going on the Jeopardy revenge tour. You know, that's top of the mind is every audition that comes up that I can do remotely. I'm taking the test and I'm doing it because I'm going back on TV and I'm gonna win and I'm gonna redeem myself. You know, so you have to have that kind of attitude with anything you do. Where it's like it didn't work out, but I'm gonna have my revenge. Why do you want to be on the show, Shaun? Revenge. Let's play. So that's how I roll.
I love that. And you heard that here first. He's going to get his revenge. We're all
Yes,
hoping for
you
it.
heard it here first. We're going on the Jeopardy Spike Tour. We're going on the Spike Tour. People, casting agents already love it. Why? What are you going to do with the money? I'm going to pay the rent. Let's play. You know, why do you want to be on here? It really pissed me off that I lost on Jeopardy, and I want to take revenge on my past self. So let's do this. Never heard that before. Most people want to win a vacation to Hawaii, but okay, let's give you a shot. You know, so let's do it.
Yeah, and I had to ask this one last question just because my dad told me to. You know, shout out dad if he's watching this. Probably not because he's out. But if you've been watching recently, who's been your new favorite host?
Oh no, this is they're all terrible. I mean, uh, first off, I give my regards to your father for asking. You know, but pretty much it's they're all terrible. I feel like the best one was Ken Jennings, and I feel like the best. I personally want LeVar Burton to host. That'd be my guy. I want LeVar Burton even hosting as his character from Star Trek. You know, just to be up there hosting it. That's either that or a hologram of Alex Trebek would be really cool, or maybe the computer Watson. I mean, they're just people that are hosting are just they're not used to being up there. They don't know how to do it. They don't like they're trying. It's not a good look. You know, it's kind of just like whatever. I mean, I would do it. I'll do it. I'll be the Clue Crew. You know, whatever. Hi, I'm Shaun. I'm standing outside this famous bar that denied my fake ID not once but twice. You know, and just go with that. But yeah, it all depends. So yeah, we'll see how it turns out. All I know is that once I've appeared on Jeopardy, I can never appear again, which is why I'm going on the next best thing. You know, next game show to have the revenge.
Yeah, I love that. And I think overall, just to go full circle, that the whole Jeopardy experience is a really good metaphor for the journey of entrepreneurship because out of the 80,000 people, you're having the 0.01%. It's the same thing about your company might be the 0.01% that is actually going to go hit the big time. But again, your definition of the big time could be as simple as I'm making enough money to sustain myself and not working a 9 to 5 job, doing something that I truly enjoy that's adding value to the world and gives me fulfillment. And it's the same thing. It's however you look at it, just getting on Jeopardy, just being there is fulfilling enough for some people. Some people have that drive, the intrinsic motivation to just go after it and go to the next biggest thing, which is clearly why you're so successful and never actually want to stop because you're always going to be on to the next thing. I can just tell.
No, thank you. I mean, it's it, you life is movement. You have to keep moving, and you have to keep attacking. You know, you have to attack down a winding road. Most people, again, they don't want to attack down the winding road. They want to sit, wait for the road to be paved, have the bus pick me up. You know, but you have to just keep going from one thing to the next. A lot of people always said people, you're so random, and it's like, listen, I'm not random. I'm just doing what I want to do. You know, being random. I think is the best compliment you could get, and you know, people don't want to step out of the shell. I don't want to be thought of as that random person. Why? Why not? Why do you want to still be thought of as an associate in some company that you don't care about? Do you want to be thought of as again the chief heart officer in some stupid startup that's not going to amount to anything? Like do something. Don't be a pitiable creature. Go out and happen to things. Don't wait for things to happen.
Yeah, I love that. Do you have any parting words just before we sign off?
Wow, I feel like after every question was a parting like word. Like it was okay. It was good. We could close on that. I mean, I feel like the parting words would be just to do what you're afraid to do. I mean, that's it. Just go. Life is about overcoming itself. It's about having these challenges and not shirking from your responsibilities because they're difficult or they might appear impossible. It's about accepting that your role and going after it. And where other people see a mountain, you see a stepping stone. And that's what it all comes down to. It comes down to that. It comes down to the attitude is what's going to help you with the altitude. And it comes back to everything we talked about. Moving forward, reading books, not listening to what everyone else is saying, not following what everyone else is doing your own thing and focusing on yourself. And you don't know where it's going to go. Just taking action. You might end up on a game show. Who knows? I'll be watching. If it's Jeopardy, I'll be watching. So no, but you have to do it. No one's going to do it for you. You have to do it for yourself. And I guess the final words would be, I'm Shaun Gold, and for as long as you keep living, keep learning how to live.
I love that. Succinctly put, short and sweet. Thank you for watching this episode or listening. I'm Ari, just had Shaun Gold on an interview, and we will be signing off.